Welcome to a second video taking a look at averages from group frequency tables. Here we're taking a look again at the estimated mean and interpolation to find the median. So here we have the question: the weekly wages to the nearest pound of the production line workers in a small factory is shown in the table. So here's our information. First of all, it asks us to write down the modal class. Okay, that's nice and simple. That's simply the class interval which contains the highest, which is the highest frequency, so the greatest number of workers in that particular interval. And as we can see, that's going to be 351 to 400. So our first answer, let's use blue just so that you can see it nice and clearly. That's going to be 351 to 400. Question 2 asks us to calculate an estimate of the mean wage. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to need to find the midpoint for each of the class intervals. So to find the midpoint, we simply add the upper and lower boundaries of the class interval, add them together, and then divide by 2. So 175 plus 225 is going to give me 400 divided by 2. That gives me a midpoint of 200. Next up, we've got 226 plus 300. That's going to give me 526. Divided by 2, that's going to give me 263. Next one, we've got 301 plus 350. That's going to give me 651. Divided by 2, that's going to give me 325.5. Next up, 351 plus 400, that's going to give me 751, divided by 2, that's going to give me 375.5. And then last one, 401 plus 500, that's going to give me 901, divided by 2, that's going to give me 450.5. So now what do we do with this information? Well, we simply multiply our midpoint by our frequency, then divide it by the total frequency. So let's do that now. What we're going to get is so 200 multiplied by 4 plus 263 multiplied by 8 plus 325. Oops. Just rub that out a sec. 325.5 multiplied. 325 multiplied by 18 plus 375.5 multiplied by 28 plus, and this is the last one, 450.5 multiplied by 7. And then we divide all of this, by the total frequency. So the total frequency, 4 plus 8, 12, plus 18, that's going to give us 30, plus 28 is going to give us 58, plus 7 is going to give us 65. So divided by 65. Now all that I need to do now is just type this into my calculator, and that's going to give me an estimate of the mean. So let's do that now. So 200 times 4 plus 263 times 8 plus 325.5 times 18 plus what's the next one? Can't see it. 375.5 times 28 plus last one, 450.5 times 7, and that comes to 22,430.5, and then we're just going to divide this by our total frequency, which is 65. So divided by 65, And that gives us an answer of 345.0846154. We're going to round this to the nearest pound, as in the question it is rounding everything to the nearest pound, so we'll do the same. And so that's going to give us an answer of £345. So estimate for the mean, £345. Part C, it asks us to use interpolation to find an estimate for the median wage. So for this, what we are going to need to do first of all is we're going to need to find out what is the median position. So our number here, we've got 65, and to find out what the median position is, so we've got 65 people asked, we're just going to need to half 65, and that's going to give us 32.5. So we're looking for the 32.5th position in order to find our median. Now, to help us with this, we are going to look at the cumulative frequency and figure out whereabouts in what class interval does the 32.5th position fall into. Which of the class intervals will it fall into? So I'm just going to do the cumulative frequency, and that will give me an idea. So 4, 12, 30, and so we can see, so 30 people were 350.5 or lower, and that means that therefore the 32.5th position is going to lie in this class interval 351 to 400, and that will take us, the cumulative frequency there will take us to 58. So what we're going to do, like we did in the last video, is simply say, well, okay, let's draw out a little kind of number line, and at one end we're going to have the lower class boundary for 351, so that's going to give us 350.5, the lowest value that we could have that would fall into this category, and we're going to say that that there is going to be our 30th position. So this person here is going to be who earns the 30th most amount of money. Then we're going to have up this end, we're going to have 58, and we're going to have the upper class boundary of 400.5. So we can see here that this is a difference. So there are 28 people that fall into this category. So we're going to split this amount here into, so this amount, so of 50, we're going to split that into 28 individual parts so that we get an idea. So if we do that, 58 over or divided by 28, the number of people in this class boundary, and that's going to give us an idea of what the 31st person would have, what the 32nd, and so on. So each time that we come to the 31st person, we would add on 50 over 28. When we get to the 32nd, we'd add it on again, and so on. So we're just splitting it into proportional amounts, so proportional increments that are increasing as we go. And so we could take that 50 over 28, 50 divided by 28, and simply multiply that by 2.5 and add that onto our lowest amount, because we want to get to the 32.5th position, which is going to be somewhere around there, and we can see that if we add on 2.5 times what the increments that we talked about earlier, then that is going to give us our answer. So 50 over 28 times by 2.5, add that onto 350.5, and that is going to give us our median value. So let's just plug that into a calculator, and here we go. So we've got 50 divided by 28 multiplied by 2.5, and then add that onto the lower class boundary, 350.5, and that gives us an answer of 354.964287. Like in the last video, we're going to round it to the nearest pound. The nearest pound would be 355. So our answer here, what is the estimate for the mean? And we would say that it is, to the nearest pound, £355.